Hi, my name is Allison Smilnich, and this is my cross-cultural experience. When we were assigned this project, I knew I had many decisions to make. I was debating whether to go to a nursing home, and even thought about looking for homeless shelters to visit. After quite some time, I was hit with the realization that I had an experience from my past that would be perfect for this assignment. As a 20-year-old, the story definitely sounds silly now, but at the time, as an 11-year-old girl, I experienced the first culture shock of my life. The experience was when I was invited to eat dinner at my good friend's house for the first time. My friend came from a family in which her father was a purebred Hungarian. Growing up, I always thought it was cool that my friend was Hungarian because I am too. But while I am part Hungarian, I did not follow the culture besides eating goulash occasionally for dinner. At the time, however, I did not fully understand that families celebrated or had traditions that were vastly different from my own, so as you can tell, I was in for a real surprise. When I arrived, I was greeted by my friend, her father, her stepmother, brother, and several other family members who happened to be in town at the time. Much like any family, and especially my own, my friend's house was filled with laughter and a feeling of warmth and comfort. The adults were chatting, although I don't know what about, as they were all talking in the Hungarian language, which I knew none of. While I was not used to hearing another language spoken in a household before, I did not think much of it, as my friend and I were too busy doing 10-year-old things. It was not until dinner that my comfort level changed. The dinner began by my friend, her brother, and I sitting at the far end of the table away from the adults. Each member at the dinner table was given a bowl of soup, served by the hostess. In front of me sat a bowl of some kind of soup that I had never ate before. I instantly began to worry. As a kid, I was not known for being adventurous with foods, nor was I a kid who ate big meals. Growing up, I rarely ever ate 3 big meals a day, but oftentimes smaller portions more frequently. After several spoonfuls, my friend's father tells us kids that we need to finish our soup before we can receive our dinners. As a kid, I assumed her dad was joking. I, however, was wrong. Minutes passed, and I knew that if I ate any more of the soup, I would be too full for dinner. I looked over to my friend, and she was finishing her soup, and her stepmom was giving her her dinner plate that had a lot of food on it. I was instantly filled with dread. I had a half bowl of soup in front of me that I did not want to finish, yet I knew I had to. And awaiting me, I knew I would be served an already plated dinner with more food than I could ever possibly eat in one sitting. After quite some time, and the only person left with an appetizer, my friend's stepmother gave me my dinner plate anyways. I instantly felt embarrassed as well as ashamed that I could not finish the soup like everyone else. When I looked at my very full dinner plate, I was instantly filled with fear yet again. There were foods that I had never eaten before, such as lamb, as well as foods that I was not so fond of. But being raised to always be polite, I knew I had to attempt to eat it. Plus, I did not want to disappoint my friend's family again. Once again, my friend's father turned to us and told us we could not leave the table until our dinner plates were empty. I knew this time he was not joking, and now any appetite I may have possibly had was non-existent. In present time, having grown up, my dad told me stories that when he was younger and his family got together, they used to have lamb roast, and that lamb was a very important food for Hungarians. Looking back, the lamb would have not sounded so crazy, but I was young and the only meats I was used to eating were chicken and steak. As you can probably imagine, I never was able to finish all of my dinner at my friend's house. Although I did try, I just could not eat it all, nor was I comfortable eating some of the foods on my plate. While I never was scrutinized by my friend's parents, I was still embarrassed that I could not finish my plate like everyone else. At the time, I had no idea why they had such rules or expectations, but now I know that these are traditions many families have that can be based on a specific culture or just purely a family tradition. From that experience, and what I would hope to teach in my classroom, is how important learning other cultures is. Unlike me, who was naive about other cultures as a child, I would want my students to appreciate others and the traditions that we all have. Just because I was never forced to finish all of my dinner, that does not mean that it's the only acceptable way. I saw my friend who had this tradition in a loving family just like I did. I think the reason why we judge others, especially those of other religions and cultures, is because we don't take the time to learn about them. We just assume that what we believe in is right and everything else is considered wrong, and that is not true at all. The lesson I learned and hope to teach is that ignorance, or choosing to be ignorant, will get you nowhere, and from the wise words of Benjamin Franklin, I leave you all with this quote: "Being ignorant is not so much a shame as being unwilling to learn." Thank you.